Okay, welcome. Thank you for having me. My name's Warren Bottke. You heard a little bit about me, but just give you a little rundown. I'm in South Florida, in the South Florida section, and I'm the Director of Instruction at Lost Lake Golf Club in Hope Sound, Florida. Really nice new golf mecca. We just opened up 7 new golf courses in that region, so it's really going to be a happening place soon, and it's really been kind of neat to be there.
Hello, Warren.
How you doing? Long time no see. How many years has it been? I know, I had you in class, Bill. So that makes me old. Bill Roper, yeah. Herbert, yep. So anyway, that's where I'm at, and it's been neat. It's been a nice journey. This is my 50th year doing it, so I haven't got tired of it yet, so it's fun. And been very fortunate to be voted in the South Florida PGA Hall of Fame, so that was kind of something I didn't see coming, but it was a nice little accolade to go with it. Welcome. You excited?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I knew I was waiting for you because you told me you're coming back.
Yeah, I got a good feel for the green now. So.
All right, then.
I don't need anybody to demonstrate. She's perfect.
All right, we'll ask questions. We might get somebody out. We had the last 2. We fixed a few people that were going to quit the game. We had 2 people with yips, and we fixed them, and they're like, I never heard that before. I said, that's why you still have them. But now we got that fixed up. So anyway, what we're going to do is break this into 3 little segments. We're going to first start off with an acronym, PGA, Posture, Grip, and Alignment. And that's going to build what we call the framework of what we're going to try to do here as far as putting. Then we're going to open up the mind and get into the mental program of a little bit about the mental part of golf and a little bit about how we putt and keep our mind in tune. And then we're going to get into some drills. So we're going to go like 20-20-20, okay? And the drills are going to be drills that are going to be applicable to some of the things that we talked about that you could use for your members, because what happens, there's thousands of them out there on YouTube and other places, and it's like, which one do I use for what? So we're going to kind of really streamline it and kind of make it really clean, and it's going to be a great time, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So the first thing we're going to talk a little bit about is the PGA, and PGA is posture, grip, and alignment. So there's a lot of different little things that we like to do to kind of get ourselves a little more fundamentally grounded. So the first thing is the ball position. Ball position, we're going to try to keep it for a right-handed golfer a little more on the inside of the left foot, or if you have a logo, keep it right on your logo here, okay? And that's where we want to try to keep an idea as far as where we want it, because this stroke we want to kind of hit up a little bit on it, and we want to decrease the skid of the ball and get a little bit more of a tumble and a little bit more top spin, which we're going to talk a little bit about. Now, what you want to do is try to get your head placement, and your head placement is going to be directly over the ball with your eyes. I like to use this putter and look here rather than doing this, because the balls scatter on the green and I got to chase them. So this is easier and quicker, okay? So just go ahead and you can use your putter at the bridge of your nose. You want to keep it on the target line or a little bit what I would call on the inside of it. Outside would be the no-no. We don't want to be there, okay? So that's where we want to kind of set it up. And what a lot of people don't realize, your head has some weight to it. How much do you think your head weighs? 18, you're close. You're a little short-handed there, Bill. But that's what happens. So when your head moves, that's a lot of movement, right? So that can move your body a little bit. So there's 18 pounds there, so we want to keep our head still, and you've heard that before. So we get ourselves set up. We have the ball position, eyes over the ball, and now we transition from there to where our weight is distributed, and we want to set up where we put our pelvis and push our pelvis back, which is going to lower our chest. And when we do that, what that's going to do is lock up the lower body. A lot of people, because the putter is short, they putt from their waist. And when I get here like this, as I move, I'm moving my body more. But if I can get here, push the pelvis back, and get set up here, I look more athletic. And when I stroke it, I'm really locked in down here. I can't get any movement. So if this is moving here, the head's moving like this, the 18-pounder. So we want to make sure we kind of keep this still, and then the head will be still. So that's a good head start to getting yourself set up. Now the grip. The grip is very important. There's a putting grip and there's a golf grip. Too many people, our amateur friends, bring their golf grip into their putting game. And that's where the big misnomer is. Okay? So what happens if you were to putt to you sideways? A golf grip would be this. Do you see the tail of the club underneath my forearm? And really where I want it is in the lifeline, and I want it to run right up the radius of my left arm. Okay? So I want to bisect that. So what am I doing is I'm keeping it right in this little crevice. You didn't know God was a golfer. He carved it right out. It sits right in there, and boom. Okay? So it's in the weak part of your hands. You don't want to use your wrist. Okay? So that's something that you want to really keep an eye on that. Okay? Now, when you go ahead and you use your hands like this, you're going to find that this is going to be breaking down. And everybody knows we flip, but they don't know why they flip. Well, we're going to tell you why you flip. So you're going to take your shirt and run it up here, and you're going to put your finger, your pointer finger right here at the top of your wrist. And you should feel a hole. If you don't, call me. You feel that hole right here? That's a hinge. There's the biomechanics. This hinge right here. So you have your regular golf grip, and you're doing this when you're putting. So then what do we say? Well, let's do left hand low. We do left hand low. This closes, and all of a sudden that's there. Why does that work so well? No one ever told me why. That's why. You've closed the gate, okay? So you've been trying not to flip by doing this, and if you do this, you're going to be fine. So we don't do left hand low. Left hand low has a negative connotation. It means that you had yips, you had problems, and you finally went to it. Now, 20 years ago, we never saw it. But now people are teaching juniors right out of the bed, out of the crib, left hand low. And they got the claw, and they got this grip and that grip. Let's get back to basics. Why do we have to put all this other jazz in there, right? We don't need to. So, quick story. I'm here doing a seminar just like this. And a guy at the break comes up and says, hey, is there any way I can get a putting lesson from you? Now, that's not unusual until he told me what he wanted to do. He says, this is 1999. He says, I'm on the Nike tour. And the reason why I'm in your class, I'm 57th on the money list. I have 3 more tournaments to play. And if I don't make it, then I'm going to be a PGA apprentice and I can go this route. I said, that sounds logical, but don't you want to, make the tour? He said, that's my dream. I said, well, okay, why are you here? Well, just in case I have a safety net. So I said, what's your problem? He says, I'm a bad putter. I'm 107th on the putting list. But what you were just talking about made a lot of sense. Could I get a putting lesson? I said, okay, well, when are you leaving? Tonight at 7 o'clock. Well, let's not wait till the last minute. Okay, we'll do it. So I said, we're done at 5. At 5 o'clock, as Mother Nature would have it, what happens? Rain, wind, hailstorm. I said, look, run up to your room, get a club, your putter, and 3 golf balls. Meet me downstairs by the lobby bar. There's a 100-foot oriental carpet, and we'll putt on that. Okay, great. So we start talking. The first thing he gets up there, he's left hand low. I said, what's this all about? Oh, he said, I've tried everything. This is what I putt with. I said, really? I said, let me ask you, did you play junior golf? Oh, when I was 13 and 14, I had ice in my veins. I used to putt the eyes out of it. Well, why'd you change? Well, I lost confidence. I said, well, I can see why. You have the putter in the wrong part of your hand. Really? I said, yeah. So now I got to make the decision. Am I going to ruin this guy's career? And do I feel that strong to change his grip? And I said, yes, I do. I said, you're going to go back to conventional, and you're going to put it in the lifeline and do that. And he started to putt. And he's like, oh, my gosh, this is unbelievable. So what happened is you had a motor program, and you were 13 or 14 years old that you abandoned, and now we're going to resurface it and bring it back, and you're going to be a star. Okay, sounds good. Good luck. Good luck. Off he goes. So I get an email on Thursday. No cell phones back in 99. Barely even emails, right? And the title of the email is, You Are the Man. And I'm like, who sent this? It's him. He said, I shot 66 today. I'm tied for the lead. I made everything. I'll be in touch. Talk to you soon. Boom, he goes. So he goes. It's up at the Oregon Classic up in Nike Town, up in Oregon. And he shoots 66, 66, 66, 66. 24 under par and wins the tournament. I said, what the heck happened? He's like, you're not going to believe this, but we got two more. I went from 57th on the money list. I'm now 27th. We got two more events, Coach. I said, okay, let's go do it. So all of a sudden the media said, oh, by the way, I hope you didn't mind I used your name. The media wanted to know what happened to me, and I told them. I said, okay. So he goes now to Sacramento, California, shoots 69, 68, 67, 71, finishes like 10th or 11th, goes to 26th on the money list. Okay, shot about 8 under par. So now, do you remember back then, if you're in the top 25 on the Nike Tour or any of these tours, you get your tour card. He's 26 with 1 week to go. He goes up to the Empire Classic up in Seattle, Washington, shoots 68, 68, 68, 68, and wins that tournament. 42 under par in 3 weeks, goes from 57th to 7th on the money list. They go, what the heck happened to you? Golf Channel calls, this and that. He said, I took a ride on the magic carpet. And that was the story. We were on a plane to the Golf Channel the next day going over what we worked on. Isn't that a credible story? So I say all that to not brag, but to say you never know who's in your class and what's going to happen, right? It's crazy. So then he gets his tour card. We work 4 more years. The first year finishes 125th on the money list. Whew. Second year, 124th. Whew. Third year, 123rd. Fourth year, 122. And then he ended up getting married, had a family, bought 2 golf courses in Jacksonville, Florida, and that was the end of it. He didn't want to play the senior tour. Now, 2 days ago, I get a text from this guy. I haven't seen him in 10 years. He says, Coach, I don't know if you remember me. I said, I remember you. And we were just being sarcastic. He was an All-American at Florida. His name was Charles Rawlson. He's 53 now. He said, I adopted a boy about 10 years ago, and he plays the PGA. He's an African-American, and he said, I would love if you could instill some of the mental practice and some of the putting and the things that you did to help me win my Nike tournament. And I said, sure. So what's that about relationships? Is that important? How did this guy come back? Because of our relationship and how I was approachable and so on. So I don't say all that to say, you just don't know what you don't know, right? But it was a very gutsy call, but I felt very confident in making that change, and it really came out for the best, right? But how many here would have changed that grip to a tour player with 3 weeks left and a gun to his head, right? It's a little gutsy, but I just felt that good about it. So my point is, you never know, A, who's in your class, and B, don't be afraid to get back to basics. That was a basic fundamental, and we were afraid to do it. So that was kind of a cool little story. So we did the grip. Now we're talking a little bit about the alignment. Now the alignment can be very important. There's only one important part in putting in the alignment. It's not the feet, it's not the hips, it's the shoulders. Okay? So who is this when they putted? Jack Nicklaus, right? He had his head tilt, his dominant eye was left, but his shoulders were what? Straight, right? Sam Snead, same thing, right? So my point is the shoulders will dictate the path of the arms and keep the face square. So that's what we want to be able to do. So that's pretty much the groundwork on what we're doing. Now, the main point that I want you to know is when we set up, this left shoulder joint is going to be the pivot point in the putting stroke. So what I want you to feel is your weight is going to be about 55-45 on the left of the lead. So this now comes in to where this is going to be the pivot point. Some people, wait, I heard about the sternum. Okay, let's keep it in the sternum. How's this pivot? Handle going backwards. Perfect recipe for the flip. Okay, so what also happens is in order to get rid of skid, you know what skid is in putting, okay? On a 10-foot putt, you're going to have about 10 to 12% skid. So that's 10 or 12 feet. 10 or 12 inches, right, a foot. So that's the point you want to do, is to try to get that out. So you want this ball to tumble. You want to get topspin. So by having this 5-degree putter and leaning a little bit, gets it to about 3 degrees, you're going to get more roll on it and be able to push the ball in the hole. And that's what we're looking for. So we want to make sure when we do a little lean. Now, if you did this to some of your members, they would do this, forward press. I'm not asking you to lean it. I'm just telling you to lean your body, which will take care of. It's a BOGO. You get 2 for 1. If you lean here, you clean the shaft, you close the face, you get less skid. So it's an easy thing for them to kind of get a feel and adapt. But this pivot point is very, very important. Now we talk a little bit about, the heel-centered putt, the heel shafted. So, people say, well, usually you want to use that a little bit for more arcing because of the head and the toe is going to turn over. But you can do straight back, straight through with this. You don't always have to be centered. So what we like to do is just to make sure it sits up and it sits on the center point, and then it just goes straight back, straight through. Because straight back, straight through, I have a center of my club face is square for at least 12 to 18 inches. When I do arcing, how many have read and said, putting is just like an abbreviated golf swing. It just arcs. Well, I don't like feeding the ball 1 inch at the square club face because I'm pushing it one time or blocking it another. Okay? So then we talk about dominant eye. Okay? Nicholas had the dominant eye where? The left eye, and that's why he did that. Well, the dominant eye, it's up to you to kind of get an idea. There's the finger drill, and you move the finger and all that kind of stuff. I just say, hey, if you're going to shoot a rifle, what eye are you going to close? Oh, okay. You close the left eye. You didn't even think about it, so you're right eye dominant. So when we have right to left putts or left to right, what I like to do is move the ball 1 inch either way. So if I'm going to have a right to left here on this slope, I'm going to move the ball back 1 ball. And what does it do to my shoulders? It closes them, and then therefore I have more of an in to out putt, and it just rotates and makes that face turn and turn that ball over. Okay? Then if I have it left to right, I'll move it at ball forward, and you see how my shoulders are a little more open, and I can get my ball start line just a little bit on my left line. So you just move the ball 1 inch either way, and now you're going to find out which way you are. Typically, if you're right eye dominant, your right to lefts are going to be pretty easy. It's hard to get your right eye dominant and try to start it on the left line, so this is an easier way to do it. What do you think? Pretty simple, right? So these are the basic platforms of what we're doing on the setup. Now that we got the setup, what we're going to do is get into a little bit of the mental program. The other thing I wanted to say is, does anyone know something different in Brooks's grip? Well, how does he hold the putter? Right, that's his trigger finger, right? So that's his pointer. That was what we called the trigger finger. So when he was 9 or 10 years old, he kept doing this. I said, let's get rid of that. Let's do this. And then he was able to keep it square. And to this day, he still uses it. So a lot of people don't use that, but some do. And that's just an old thing that he's always used. So it's been kind of neat. So now we're going to go over here and talk a little bit about this mental program. So a mental program is going to be basically a pre-shot routine. And a pre-shot routine is going to prep you for the shot. And what we want to do is have a belief system so when you do pull the trigger, you're all in and you're not wishy-washy or thinking anything about it. Okay? So what we have to do is build a strategy. And we're going to walk through this. I'll do it more conscious right now and out loud so you hear what I'm thinking, and then we'll do it a little bit differently. So what I first start off is when I set up, I take my normal ball position and make sure it's ready because I want to replicate right where I am on the practice stroke. So I set up, I look at the hole, and I go 1, 2, 3. Now what I'm doing is what? I'm preloading my mental program. What I'm preloading is I'm looking at the hole, stroking the club. Now, if I was to throw a ball to Bill, what I'd have to do is I'm looking at Bill, and I'm going to pretty much zero in. The optic nerve in my eye is going to tell me how much I need to move this arm back and forth to throw that ball to him. Now, if I'm looking at you over there, and I'm going to throw the ball to Bill, I might throw him over his head because I have no source of where he is. I have no recall where he is. Does that make sense? So that's why we want to set and preload the mental program. So we get set up, we look at the hole, and now I'm feeling the stroke, and my eyes are telling me how much to move my arms. The next step is I tap. What do I tap for? I shut off the consciousness and move into a subconscious. I've already shut it out. The program's loaded, and I'm ready to go. Now what I do is look at the hole, look at the ball, look at the hole, look at the ball, tap, focus, and go. Now you see the coins around there, that's the pizza pie. That's the 3-foot cheese pizza. And we're going to hit everything inside the pizza, and we're going to forget that we're ever going to 3-putt ever again in our life. Okay? Now, what I do immediately is I've used that ball, and I've told myself now I have to correct something. I didn't have it high enough. I didn't have enough speed. So now I got to reinforce what I just saw. Do it again. Tap. Look. And do it again. So I didn't do it as well, but then what I do is at the end is I just go ahead and do another stroke. So what we only do is 2 balls. We're not here like this. You're wasting your time. I'm trying to get a program. I'm trying to get a system. So ball number 1 is trying to get it in the hole. Ball number 2 is the correction, where I'm going to go ahead and get a positive self-image on that. So I got to imprint that. My self-image after that first putt isn't too good. Wow, that dogged that putt. Never up, never in. Man, I can't believe you didn't make it. That's what the committee's saying up here. Right? That's what the committee's saying. But immediately I run the second ball, and what I try to do is what? Correct the flaw, and then I go ahead and give a positive self-image, and then I make the putt. Now, we don't get the second ball, right? Always. But what it is training this program to where when you're doing it correctly. Who does this before he putts? Justin Rose, he did it in the Masters. In the 15th hole, he didn't do it, and he missed his putt. Totally just got caught up in something else, and he forgot to do that. But he does it like clockwork. And when he does that, that's telling him, okay, I'm ready. The program's loaded, and I'm ready to go ahead and execute the shot. But the self-image is so, so important. You got to be positive in your self-image and say, you know, I'm a great putter. I can't believe that one didn't go in. I always make that. I don't know why it didn't fall. You know, and you just keep building that up and telling yourself that. Not like you suck. You 3-putt every time this green. You're just building yourself up for a failure. Does that make sense? So let's look at the 4 P's on this, okay? The first one is what? Practice. So we got to practice, practice, practice. Number 2, what? Physically do a trigger. The trigger is what? Tap. Shut it off. The third one is what? After we hit the shot, we already started the program, right? We hit the shot, and what happened? It didn't go in. So we had to redo it and do what? A positive imprint. We had to reinforce and imprint it. So it's putt, practice, right? Physical trigger, and impact.
You were saying, basically preloading or premeditating through play, and then once you tap, and notice there's some break to that play. You're saying, look at the hole, look at the ball, look at the hole. Are you looking down the line versus at the hole? If it's a breaking play.
Yes. Yeah. So we'll do it again, right? And let's get a little more specific to it.
Pretty
Yeah, no, that's okay. If I wasn't clear, I apologize. Yeah. So we'll look here, and if you see here, I probably need to putt this where? Right in between here somewhere, right? Up by those quarters. Yeah, so the quarters are the pizza pie. So now I go, and I look. I'm preloading. Tap. Look. Tap. That one got away. They're drying out. That wasn't that fast this morning.
Downwind.
Yeah, downwind, maybe, right? Yeah. So you can see I'm looking at the target. So I kind of laid those there for a little something too. So those are the 3 feet around the pizza pie. So what do we do for these? If you have a short putt, what we want is a short shaft. So anything inside the pizza, short putt, you choke down to the metal and tap. Short putt, short shaft. Short putt, short shaft. Whoops. Shouldn't talk. But you just want to kind of get yourself here and feel that. That doesn't want to go in. So you can kind of see, why do we do the short shaft? Because when you're putting, if you had an 8-foot putter, what would be the stroke? Like kind of like a figure 8, right? It would start to move. But a 2-foot shaft would do what? Keep that face pretty straight. So there's a couple guys on tour way back in the time. Kenny Green, he used to go down and they'd go down on the putter and tap it inside of 3 feet. So you can't give them away, right? So you got to kind of get that feel and be able to do that. So short putt, short shaft. If you have members and they're always 3-putt, do the pizza drill. Get them in there and then show them how to go ahead and get through that part. So pre-shot routine, very, very, very important to get some kind of things that kind of work. So one day I'm at the club at PGA National. We're hosting the Honda Classic. And I saw Brooks and he said, hey, I'm not really doing too well with my putting. Is there any way you kind of watch me on this practice round? I said, sure, I'd love to. So he was in Mexico in the match play the week before and hadn't been playing too well, so he just wanted to see if I could see something. Now, he has a putting coach. He has another coach that goes with him in different things, but it's just, you know, I built the machine a long time ago, so he knows I know if there's something out of there, I can kind of see it and spot it pretty quickly. So we go off number 10. It's a Pro-Am. It's a Wednesday Pro-Am, and he goes off 10. It's a par 4. He hits his drive. He misses his approach shot. He's a couple feet off the green and chips it in. I'm like, okay, well, we're not going to see the putter there. All right, let's go to 11. So we go to 11. Same thing. Hits it, misses, shoots it over the green, chips up into the hole again. I said, hey, we got a putt or we're just watching chip-ins today? Because you're doing well on the chip-ins. What about the putter? So number 12, number 13, and then on the 14th green, I said, hey, I got it. He said, you got it? You see something? I said, yeah. I said, why aren't you doing your routine? He goes, what do you mean? I said, you're not wiping your putter off. You're not doing what we told you. Well, come on, it's Wednesday. It's a Pro-Am. I'm just banging around with these guys. I said, oh, you can turn it on in 20 hours on Thursday's tee time in a major tournament and be ready to go? I said, every ball counts. What are you doing? You're not preparing yourself. He goes, you're right. I'm lazy. I'll never do that again. I said, thank you. He went and birdied 6 out of the next 9 holes doing his routine. Got to get the motor system going, right? The motor program was not on because he's just banging it around. And, you know, it's a Pro-Am. It doesn't mean anything. We're just having some fun, hanging out. But you're not, why are you even out there? You're wasting your time. Go out there and practice. So how he does it is what? Here's his routine. He gets up, looks at the hole. 1, 2, 3, wipes, down, look, and goes. Now, why does he wipe the putter? Right, because when he was 11 years old, they just aerified the greens and they top dressed it, and he missed a putt. And I said, make sure you wipe that putter off. There's dirt particles, and a ball could be diverted by a pebble or something on the face. And he's done that for 20 years. He's never stopped. That's why you see him wipe it off. Now, a lot of guys now are starting to wipe the putter. And I don't know, after 5 majors, if they followed him and said, hey, he might have something. I don't know. But more people are wiping the putter. But you could see how that could happen. So that's why he does it, and he's very diligent about it. But that day, I told him, you're not wiping your putter. So it was kind of like a gotcha, but it wasn't intentional to be that way. But it was like, you got to think about what you're doing, and you got to prepare for the shot. Every ball counts, because every ball is going where? In the motor program. And you got to be able to retrieve it from the motor program. So that's why we have to have that system. So we did the PGA. We had that. We got that pretty well. We talked a little bit about the motor program. You're good about that. You understand it, right? Now we're going to talk about the couple drills. So we talked a little bit about the pace drill because we looked at the hole. We tried to get it inside the pizza. Short putt, short shaft. Now we go over here. And this is called the push drill. So we get set up. Bill, can I borrow you a minute? Okay. So I'm going to push the ball and just keep throwing them back to me. Okay, can you bend down all right? Are you all right? No. Okay, I got the wrong guy?
Yeah, you got the wrong guy.
Okay, you got it. Okay. So here, and I'm just going to push it in. And just throw it back. So what this is called, gang, is a isometric drill. And what I'm doing, do you know what isometric is? It's the stretching of the muscles. And I do like 6 of these. Whoops. And even if it doesn't go in, it's about a 3-footer, I'm still feeling the stretch. Do you see the back of the left hand? Where is it? It's going down flat right to it, right? Then after you do about 6 of those, you can straighten up now. I get set up and back. And now all of a sudden the putter feels like it's going to run away from me. So an isometric stretch, 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 put it down, whoop, there it goes. It almost runs right out of your arms. So that's an isometric drill. That's for people that come in and decelerate or flip. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. So really, in the law of averages of physics, can you really decelerate? And actually, probably not. It's just that you stop your arms. Because if this is a putter and it's moving, and you have the weight of a golf ball, this is picking up speed going down. The weight of the golf ball is 1.6 ounces. It's going to slow it down a little, but it's still getting more weight going through. So the deceleration is just kind of stopping your arms a little bit on that. So this push drill is really a good way for people that have trouble following through and just trying to work that in there. The pace drill is for those that have the 3 putts. Okay? And that's where you get yourself in a little bit of trouble. Now, you know there's a lot of mirrors out there. There's got to be 1,000. Well, here's one that's cheap, and I invented it, and you can copy it. Okay? This is here 10 7/8 inches. This is 1.5 inches. I mean, a 1/4 of an inch, excuse me. 1/4 of an inch. Right? 10 7/8, 1/4 of an inch. It's beveled, so it's not going to get you any shards or splinters. Okay? It's polished, so it's not going to scratch. Those are superstitious. Like you scratched in my mirror, something bad could happen. It's not going to break when you drop it because it's thick enough. Okay? So what do we do with this mirror? We have the 4 P's. So the 4 P's in putting. So we start off up here. Now, when I put the mirror down and the ball and the club, when I put the club down on the mirror, do you see how the leading edge is square? So I can see immediately if this is open or closed. So that immediately shows me how square the face is. Okay? Number 2, P is path. Now notice, when I put this on the mirror, do you see how the cavity is carved out exactly where the mirror ends on both sides? Was that an accident? No, because all the putters are like that. So when we take the path back, if this comes off the mirror, you can kind of see the path of the club is incorrect. Okay? It's polished. So what does that mean? It's not going to scratch, but what it's also going to do is when I bring it back, low and slow. Okay? And then the last P is the putter head. How's the head? Square the way I started. That's closed, that's open. So you can kind of see how the face is going through that way, right? 4 essential components of the putter to kind of just like 4 in 1. Makes it really, really simple. Then what happens, why a half inch here, right? Or a quarter of an inch, excuse me. A quarter of an inch, all of a sudden when I put this here, I'm hitting the ball almost at the equator. What am I doing with the roll? I'm putting a little more topspin on it. So I'm learning to kind of hit up on the ball and get rid of the skid, right? So it makes it kind of nice that way to get that feel. What do you think? Pretty interesting. 2 questions. Okay,
Well,
Ross first.
You're a quarter inch using the mirror, and so take the mirror away. Are you soling the putter?
Yeah, you're still soling it, but all of a sudden by doing this, it's starting to train you to hit up on it. When I tell people to start to hit up on it, what happens? When they start to hit up, they start doing this. Do you see how the window opens? Yeah, I lose that connection. So what I want to try to do is have the elbows on the torso, get set up, and then just keep this here. I'm not trying to let this go or that go at any time. Then the wrists start to get wobbly that way. So that's the reason why I want to stay connected on it. But I mean, those mirrors are a couple bucks. You know, you get them cut up and so on. But it's a neat little tool to have, and it's easy and it's simple to be able to use, and you can see the value of why we do it and what's the purpose of it. So the other thing, what I didn't tell you, is when we had Charles, one of the drills that we gave him was the ball and the paddle drill. So instead of the left hand low, we lodged that in there, and he started to get the feeling of this. So he'd take a sleeve of balls, he'd hit 1 ball, 2 balls, drop the 3rd one, and then stroke it. And he'd get the feeling of how this pivot point here and how he was hitting it low and kind of hitting it through the green and getting more roll on it. So it was kind of nice when he ended up doing it. Yes, question. I didn't get back to you, sorry.
Okay, so would you suggest people to hit it lower on the face on the putter then? Is that what you're trying to get by, when you say it's elevated on top of the mirror, you're catching it lower on the face to, like you said, more in the equator?
Yeah, more in the equator, it's kind of arcing. Yeah, a little bit, but it's kind of arcing and kind of hitting on the upstroke a little bit. And you're kind of giving it a boost because it's elevated a little bit. So you're kind of hitting up on it instead of pushing and squishing it, right? Kind of getting it there. So the push drill is kind of that way, but I really like this angle to maintain. And if I do that, you see how the ball would sit in there? But when I do this, the ball would fall out. So I just set it there, keep the ball right there. And it's a neat little feel, and you'll see how you get the shaft lean, and you're able to get the club going down the line a little bit better and get less skid on the ball. Okay? So we did a couple drills, right? So we did the mirror drill, we did the pace drill, we did the pizza drill, right? Then we did the push drill, which is the isometric drill. The last drill we have is over here, and this is the 2 things that you run into problems, and that's the gate drill, okay? So you just take 2 alignment sticks. Cost $4, $1.99 at Home Depot, right? So there's $4 we invested, and 2 tees that are free. So you didn't spend a lot. You can get putting tracks for $1.99 to $4.99. but it's the same thing. So let's keep it economy, right? So what we start off at is right about 5 or 6 feet. We get ourselves in here, get ourselves set, and we start making sure that we don't hit the railing, right? Now, this will predicate on 2 things. Your talent, okay? If you're Mrs. Magutnik, a 9-holer, you might have 3 inches on either side. I don't care if you hit the railing. But if you're a tour player, you might have 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch on either side without hitting the rails, right? And that's what you want to try to get that feel. Get yourself set here. So you do about 6 of those. Then you come back out. Whoop. And now you got to go through the gate. And you got to try to find a relatively straight putt, okay? Because there's not a lot of room. If I was doing this putt, I'd have to put the things like this to get in to that slope. But this is pretty straight. So I got myself set, kind of feel. So I hit the pin, and I was a little short. Sometimes if it hits the pin and it goes in, I like that sound. Because mentally what I'm doing, I'm seeing the ball go in the hole. Yeah, I know it hit the stick, but I'm still seeing it go in the hole. That's not a bad thing, right? So do the load, the program. Maybe touch it at the end. So you just do this for about 6 balls. And you can do uphill, downhill, just to kind of get the feel of it. So we load the motor program. I don't think it touched. That was pretty good. That did, but it went in. You see, and you just kind of have fun doing this each time, right? So that's what we want you to try to do to kind of get the feeling of working on the face and the path of the club. So the path and the face are the 2 big variables that we look for. Now, you can do another little thing if you want. Go to Home Depot, get a little bit of a laser pointer, clip it to the face, get like a 2x4, lay it behind the hole, and then draw a circle on a black magic marker, of the hole, and then line up your putter to like you're going to putt and see where that red dot is. And you're going to be, amazed. Some of you are going to be 1 inch left or 1 inch right or something, and you have an aiming problem. So what you've done is learn to compensate. I aim left and then open it, and that gets it straight. So you don't even know what you don't know, but that's a good way to validate that and kind of get an idea of exactly what that is. So this here is going to be perfect for you. That's going to work on your path. That's going to work on your face, okay? You got the push drill to keep the face long and push the ball in there. You got the pizza to lag and make sure short putt, short shaft. And then you have the mirror to how to get yourself set up. Any questions on some stuff that we talked about? Yes, Bill.
Yes, Warren. So I'm a little conflicted here. So we've got a pivot point here.
Yes.
Which is left-sided. We've got a push drill, which is right-sided. So what, in your mind, is actually moving the putter?
Okay, the left shoulder is starting, and then I'm trying to push a little bit to make sure this shoulder goes up so it doesn't go open. So as this is like here, I'm not going to attach it. See the difference? Because our shoulders are rocking north and south, not east and west.
Okay, so I'm still not quite clear. So you kind of feel like you push the putter back with your left side and you push it through with your right side.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a rocking motion. Yeah, but I'm trying to have this arm be elongated a little bit more like I'm doing a push. to try to keep it low to the ground so it doesn't come up and the tail doesn't go back.
And where are you at on grip pressure?
Usually I like about, it all depends on the speed of the greens. Fast greens like 12, try to keep it maybe a 5. If it's, you know, greens that are 9.5 or 8, they're real fuzzy, then I grip it, you know, maybe a 9, a little tighter, because I don't want the grass, the friction of the grass, to compensate the face at all in any way. But that was a good question. How about another question? Yes? Oh, yeah, no question. You got to set them up and get them at least an idea where to go with this, right? So that's going to be very important. So that's a good question. So what we do is, here would be a scenario, and whether we putt or go to the range, okay? So let's say we have Sally, All-American at Auburn, softball, just crushes the ball, and is a mom of three daughters and wants to pick up the game of golf. Where do we start the lesson? Where? No. Then we have Betty, okay? Can't walk and chew gum at the same time, housewife, 3 kids. Where do we start the lesson? The putting green, right? Because she has no athleticism. Now, if you bring Sally here, what's going to happen? Because you're going to say, we're going putting the first week, then we'll hit a few chips. No, I want to get dirt. I want to get down in there, and I want to hit that thing. She wants to swat it. So you're going to miss her. She'll leave golf because she wants to get in there and grind. But if you go in there with with Betty, what's going to happen? If you go in there and try to hit 7 irons and pipe them and she misses it, you're right. My husband said, I would suck at this. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go to pickleball. This is it. And you lost her because you had her on the wrong seat on the wrong bus, right? So you got to do the deep dive, and you got to find out your client and what they're capable of doing before you throw them in the pond, right? Betty just isn't athleticism. So we go, Betty, we're going to go real slow. That's a hole. This is a putter. This hits the ball, that goes in the hole. You did great. Now we're going to take a little 9-iron right over here, these balls, and just take a putter. There's a little angle on its loft. We're going to pop it, and it's going to roll right up on the green. Look at you. You're good. We're going to do a 7 next week. I bet you can't wait. Matter of fact, let's do a series for $1,000. And all of a sudden, we got her hooked. She's like, you're kidding. Can we do 2,000? Yeah, we can. We can do that. That's no problem, right? But if we have her in the wrong seat on the wrong bus, she's just going to get gobbled up.
Okay, so I'll just extend that.
Let's do it.
So let's say that it's the golfer who is experienced.
Okay.
It's in the ball good, but they struggle putting. Would they come here first, or would they go back to it?
So give me the skill level. A beginner, advanced beginner, 9-holer. I'm all done. You guys can go ahead. There's a tip there, $1.25.
I would say the single digit.
Okay. Hits the ball great and just lousy putting. So give me a number, like what are they average putts? 33, 34 around?
About 30 to 32.
Okay, 32. So it's a little high, right? Okay. So we take them to the putting green and we find out, and we just watch them free will it and see what they do. Let's see what it looks like. Probably going to go back to the PGA and say, do you realize you're 70% of your weight's on your back foot? No, I always do that with my driver. Well, you can't do that in your putting. Oh, really? I didn't know that. And then they don't know what they didn't know, right? Or it was maybe something like that kind of was a bad thing. So we got to find out what's causing the defect of why they're not putting well. Yeah, but a great question, Justin. How about another one? Yes.
So I've been left-hand low for 23 years now.
Good, you're changing. Okay, did you drink the Kool-Aid?
I'd like to know. Yeah.
Okay, you ready to do it? Get up here, let's go. Come on, you're going to see a miracle. You guys came for a miracle. Come on. If I change the tour player, I'm not nervous with you. Okay, let's go over here. We had Tony in the last class. He had the yips. And all of a sudden, he was putting like a star. So what we're going to do is let you do it your way. Let's see, what are we here, 10 feet? Yeah, that's about 10 feet. Okay. Let's see it. What's your name again? Pat. Okay, Pat. Nice to meet you. So, what do you do with your putting? You short, you left, you long?
I actually feel like I'm a.
You feel like you're a good putter because you're left hand low?
Well, I mean, I've just done it.
Yeah. Were you born that way? Did someone put a club in your hand and said that's the way to do it?
I had like the double fingers.
Okay.
And I was doing
Flippy.
that a lot. So
Uh-huh.
the coach I had just had to switch,
Okay.
and I liked it.
See, what I don't like about left hand low, that's a little bit better, but a lot of times you're this way to the right of the hole. I don't know. We better not change you, Pat. I don't know. 3 strikes, you're out. Okay, hold it there. You see where your eyes are?
Yeah, they're very inside.
Very inside, so you're more of an arcer putter. So let's do this. Let's get this here. Let's get your eyes over the ball. Good. Now putt that for right now. Good. That feel more solid?
Yeah.
Yeah. It took about 3 feet of skid out. So you're not skidding. Okay. Good. Now tell me when you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm just going to lean you there. Okay, stay there. All right, so we made all the adjustments except the one thing, the grip. Now we're ready for that. Are you ready for that? So I backdoored you. I came in the way. I came in the porch door, not the front door. We're going to change that grip now, okay? Okay, good. Yeah, I love that. Good. Mm-hmm. So get it set, eyes over the ball.
I feel like my.
Up. Yeah, get that. Okay. Now squeeze that. Can you get that in there? Yeah, there you go. Okay. So we're going to do this. Take your right hand, take this off, left hand, and just do this. Right hand, and put this here. And then lean. Good. Eyes are good, lean, good. You just putt one-handed. That's how you do it. No. Good. Good. Okay, pretty good. Now, put that one down. Now, here's your new routine. Here's your new motor program. Go ahead. So you set the right hand, put it on the ball, right? Last thing that's going on is that left hand. Okay, set your eyes, set your weight. This is about a 7 on a scale of 1 to 10. That's about a 3. Just let that just sit on there. Mm-hmm. How'd that feel?
Feel.
More solid coming off the blade?
I like the weight.
Okay. The weight helped? Okay.
I mean, I know. I.
Yeah, you sat back. Good.
I feel on the backswing it's a little bit more.
Straight back? Well, it's more straight back instead of arcing because you got closer and you got your weight forward. So let's just set I want the left hand. So your routine's going to be set the right hand, eyes, lean, touch, go. Mm-hmm. Good. Scuffed it a little. Yeah.
Maybe still a little bit lower. I play 33 and like 3/4. It's like where I can
Yeah,
like,
okay.
my arms hanging.
Yeah. So set the right hand, set the eyes, set the weight, put the grip. Yeah, look at the difference. Okay, set the right hand, set the eyes, set the weight, now grip. Motor program, it's in order. Woo! Motor program, set the hand, set the eyes, set the lean, put the hand, let it go. Pretty good putt, though. What do you think? Do you like it? Does it feel good? Can you work on that?
Absolutely.
All right. Good job. Thanks for being compliant. All right. Give him a hand. That wasn't easy. Yeah. Thanks. What do you think? I wasn't nervous. He was. I wasn't. Okay. And I don't say that cocky. I say that confidently because I know we can make a change. But at first he was really wobbly and shaky, right? But once we put him in a mental program and he started to do it over and over, all of a sudden the bandwidth got real tight and he started making everything. So it was a lot better for you and you got that feel. But you were too far, eyes were way inside, arcing, right? And closed shoulders. Now you went in, set it flat, eyes over the ball, a little lean. Oh yeah, bring the left hand, and boom. And that was it. So just keep repeating it. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that becomes natural. All right, how about a burning closing question? Anything? Did you have fun? Did you enjoy it? Thank you so much for bringing me here. I love it, and you can see I enjoy my job. I'm still going strong. Thanks again. Enjoyed it. Thank you.